And we are live. What is going on, everybody? Unicorn Finders in the house.
Hey.
On a Wednesday. Everyone, if you are tuning in, please let us know where you're tuning in from. We would love to hear from you.
If you're not tuning in, let us know also.
Yeah. If you are not, I can't find good jams this morning, so I'm going to go back to Spotify since Spotify never lets me down. There you go.
This podcast is not sponsored by Spotify, but if it was.
Yeah, if it was. Look at this. We got a boy.
Thompson.
Out here
it's
on a
going
Wednesday.
going up on a Wednesday.
You're about to say Tuesday.
I was. I realized it's a Wednesday.
Everyone, thank you again for tuning in. We're going to talk about goal setting today. Goal achieving, goal setting, how to get there. The boys and I were talking about kind of some things we are implementing from our day-to-day personal lives. So we just want to share with y'all for a few minutes today. Julio, good morning. What's going on? We're excited to have you all today. There we go. Scott Fields from Nashville, Tennessee. Again, add us, comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Hey, Dan, while we're at it, man, how's the weather in Tampa this morning?
Oh, my gosh. It is beautiful. The sun is shining. It's about 75 degrees. Super Bowl champions. Here, there's a boat parade that starts in about 2.5 hours.
Dan will be out of the office in the next 2.5 hours.
Oh, I'm leaving right after this call.
There we go.
That boat parade is in the water, or you're putting it on trailers like how we have to do in Raleigh and drive it through the center of the town?
Oh, that's a great point. No, Jake, it's going to be on the water here.
It's going to be a real one. Oh, man.
It's going to be a real boat parade. It is going to be lit.
I love it. Kathy, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started, boys. So, again, thank y'all for tuning in to Unicorn Finders. We go live every Wednesday at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. And our goal is, for those of you who do not know about Unicorn Finders, is a podcast that Jake, Dan, and I created because, one, we're best friends. Two, we also know a lot of people. And so our goal is to share our network with you all. We have some pretty cool guests starting to get lined up. I just secured an engineering manager from Netflix this morning that he's going to be on. Very excited about that. We are working on many more guests to bring to y'all.
Yeah.
And so, again, we try to find the unicorn in business, people, tech, relationships. Want to give a few more shouts to people tuning in. Brian, good morning. What's going on? John, good morning. Sal, my man Sal, my consultant Sal. It's good to see you, buddy. And then John, good morning. It's good to see you. Great tie as always, John. I appreciate you tuning in. So, boys, as we get on this morning, as we get rolling on the pod, what do you guys do? Right? Because we talk about goal setting, goal achieving. People don't know how to get there. People are like, man, like I want to do this, I want to do that. Mm-hmm. What are some thoughts? So, Jake, I'll kick it off with you first, and maybe give a quick background about yourself to the listeners, to the viewers. For those of you who do not know Jake Shepard, Jake's the man. But Jake, take it away.
Hello, friends. I am Jake Shepard. I have my hands in many pies, sometimes too many. What I've learned over the last year especially is that saying no is more powerful than saying yes. Ooh. And I wish I would have listened to many people wiser than I am years ago and worked that out. But yes, saying no is more powerful than saying yes when it comes to everything. So I'm looking at getting my hands out of some pies and focusing on just a few key things. So I've been spending the last few months rapidly just giving away pieces of pie to people throughout the city. Just going, hey, would you like this company, or would you like to take over this project or this mentorship? And it's been pretty interesting to see people's faces. I'm like, oh, you're just handing this over? There's like literally nothing attached to it. But yes, I literally can't do it justice anymore. Please just take it because it needs to be continued.
So your biggest suggestion is just to say no.
Just say no, man.
I feel like you're coming unraveled. Literally, like Jake's just like, I see him becoming unraveled. Like, this is just a venting session for us. This isn't anything else. It's just us. It's just Jake becoming unraveled.
It's MTV Unplugged, but not nearly as talented. So but basically, what I've been really focusing on for this year, especially, is just saying no. I do have a lot of great things in flight for the last few years. I am very curious, and I am admittedly too good-hearted when it comes to trying to help. Not saying that I actually always get to, saying no and being honest has been my forefront for 2021 about realistically what can I commit to. If you've seen my calendar of the last few weeks, shouldn't have accepted half those. Yeah. So moving forward, I will still introduce you to anyone you need to, please.
I love it. Dan, tell me about some practical things that you're implementing from a goal setting perspective for this year, or just some suggestions or tips. And give the people a background about yourself, man.
Yeah, I am an 8th generation Floridian. I am in beautiful Tampa, Florida. I am a proud graduate of the University of Florida. And I work in helping companies find talent. I'm trying to do more consulting-based work, but recently I've been on a slew of placing CTOs and CIOs, which is pretty neat. Goal setting is interesting. It's always been something that has been a big part of my life, just because my parents were really big on setting goals and achieving goals. I think for me, the biggest thing, without diving into like what my personal goals are, unless you care, and I'm more than happy to tell you, is that I think it's important to set really like big goals. And a lot of people talk about big goals, but I think it's also important to set really small goals and really achievable goals along the way. Like what are benchmarks to know that I'm working towards that, or what's something small, right? Like for some people that are like workaholics, I know for them, like a goal is, hey, I want to leave the office or leave my computer at 5 p.m. every day. That doesn't necessarily mean that they won't be able to go back, but it like gives them a time to say, hey, I'm going to leave at this specific time and I'm going to go do something that separates, myself from work. Or whether it's somebody that wants to, run, which is like the most ridiculous thing in the world, is like the idea of running. But if somebody was like, hey, I want to, instead of running 5 miles a week, I want to run 7 miles a week. It's like, all right, well, what are those like very small, incremental changes that you can do, and then reward yourself? It doesn't have to be by buying a piece of jewelry or a new car or something else, but it might be a time where you like put your like work phone away for the evening, right? Or something small, whether it's going to get your car washed or doing something small to say, hey, I set my mind to something and I went and achieved it. I think everything that you read online, everything that like the world surrounds us with is, you have to set these big monster goals. And I just don't think that that's the case. And I think it often sets people up for failure. And then they get in a position where they're like, well, why am I going to do that? I'm not going to hit my target.
That's so good. A buddy of mine, Serge, he's a CMO at this great company, Crossrope here, which, by the way, trying to get fit at home, Crossrope, shout out to them. We have a few of them.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Yeah. My wife's better at it than I am by far. But he posted this thing the other day that was, instead of willing yourself to do something, change your environment to do it. And then he went in to go about, hey, instead of saying I'm going to read 50 books this year, that I'm going to read 15 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Right. And just completely change. That. This is the environment that I'm doing. Right. And then it becomes this habit of something that you're looking forward to do instead of this daunting. You're still getting the same result, but you're changing the process and then trusting the process. I'm going to lose 50 pounds, or I'm just going to eat a salad, a meal, and work out 20 minutes a day, and just kind of do this pivot.
Yeah, I think that's habit creation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing. So I was talking to one of my buddies, Brandon Arve, shop Brandon Arve, Brandon78, who does all of my marketing and who's going to slowly start doing all of our marketing too. So basically, we had a conversation yesterday about how anxiety and how kind of anxiety creeps in when you feel like it's, or imposter syndrome, when it creeps in because you don't feel like you're doing enough. Right. And I think the big thing that I want to get across for you today, for those of you who are watching, by the way, I had a few more people. Yes. Danny Thompson, the unicorn, is amongst us. Emmett, good morning. Jake, I love your matching shirts. Thank you. William, good morning, sir. Emmett, What's going on, dude? Emmett just had a kid, by the way, his third. So all that being said is just showing up, just be present. I think a lot of people, it's like Dan saying, try to get these big goals and try to like, I want to create these, and lofty goals are great, right? I think setting a longer vision is fantastic, but I think just showing up day in, day out and putting in the work is underrated, right? Like this podcast, we've been at this, for those of you who are watching still, we've been at this for a year. Like 1 year ago this month, we started. And I'm going to tell you this, we have a long way to go, right? We don't do a lot of things very well. We barely get guests on the show. We are trying better to do that. But the thing is, though, is that week in, week out, I see these boys every Wednesday. Like we have that on our calendar to be intentional, to show up day in, day out. And I think that's an incredibly underrated trait and skill set when trying to achieve your goals. I didn't know if y'all had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I think that you make a good point. Jake mentioned habit creation. You just, made a couple good points. There's something else that this is me, opening up as a person, which is something that's new. I didn't really did this. Is like the idea of like it's called destination syndrome, and I don't know if it's like a super popular psychological term, but it's the idea that there's always another destination to go, so you're never like satisfied with what you did, right? Or that happiness always exists, greater on the other side of the hill, right? So I think when it comes to goal setting and things of that nature, don't get so caught up in just hitting that, just as an idea that, okay, well, once I hit that, then I can do something else. You have to be able to accept, you have to be able to be proud and congratulate yourself on the hard work that you did. And you also have to realize that if you don't hit a goal, that you can just readjust and reevaluate, right? Like life isn't an actual race. So it's okay to modify. It's okay to change. It's okay to look at, hey, what could I have done a little bit better? What can I do here? Or maybe my mindset's changed. Maybe my attitude's changed. Maybe something's changed, but that a failure to reach a goal shouldn't dissuade you from trying to do something again or trying to change your trajectory.
If at first you don't succeed, try again.
And Destiny's Child said that, right?
I think so. I think it was Beyonce or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
believe she was in Destiny's Child. I could be wrong there.
Maybe not. I don't know. But just don't go chasing waterfalls. So my biggest my biggest thing too is I think try to create new habits for me. So let's talk about implementing one new habit, right? How do you do it? And then we can log off for the day. For me, drinking. Yeah, Dan's gonna go day drinking. Okay. For me,
literally,
it's blocking out your calendar and creating to-do lists within your calendar. I've talked about this with my podcast. It's very important because what I would do is I would create these to-do lists, right? And they'd be like 10, 15 things long, and they would just sit in my journal somewhere. And I just continue with my day-to-day, but I wasn't blocking out the time to do the actual to-do list. So my tip for you, if you get one thing out of this talk today, is start creating your to-do list within your calendar, and that's going to allow you to really start chipping away. So that's my daily tip, my tangible advice for you on this Wednesday morning. Dan, give me a tangible piece of advice and give the listeners a tangible piece of advice they can implement today.
I think that number one is if you don't know who sings the song Dust Yourself Off and Try Again, you shouldn't pretend like it was Aaliyah. Thanks, William Johnson. We've all heard this, and like the way that you've heard this, like they change from like how recently you were in school or like took a business or leadership class, but it's like the idea of like a SMART goal, right? And it's like that specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-oriented. Like I do think it's really important to not, Jake, you brought up an example of, reading, right? Don't just say I want to read more, right? Don't just say I want to close more deals at work or I want to become a better developer. It's like, well, what are all of those things, right? What makes that up? And so, like I said, my piece of tangible advice is, create a big goal and then create the small goals that help get you there as well. But, my first boss out of college said this. He's like, He's like, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time, right? So there you go. That's so pie in the sky, philosophical, but I think it's important.
Oh, I think it is. I like that. I like that. Emma goes, I'm going to eat better.
That's a perfect goal. That's exactly what we just mentioned, right?
But how?
I'm kidding.
But how, Emmett? Let's get real quick. Andrew said, I think having a healthy self-esteem, not ego. I don't.
That word is axiomatic.
Thank you. To being able to accept your successes. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Pivotal. I love that. So Jake, tangible piece of advice, and then we'll wrap it up and get on with our lives.
Well, man, you know me. I want to have a few different pieces, right? So I'm a big fan of the driver. Ever since might be an oldie, but it is a goodie. Is the starting with your why, right? So you can't have any of these kind of, hey, I want to sell more, or I want to be healthy, or I want to be whatever, and still hit those goals day in and day out without having your why am I trying to hit these, right? It's really easy to say, oh, I just want to sell more because I like money, but that's a weak goal that's easily tossed away with a single storm, right? Or a single bad day. Or I want to be healthy because I want to look good. It's like that. Those are easy things. So what I start when I do any sort of goal setting, and I've got this for a lifetime, and then I've got it for a 10 and then a 5, for my kids, for my marriage, for my business, for community involvement, is the why. And that comes in that sense of what do I want to be known for, and what do I want to be remembered for? And that can be a really personal thing. And if you don't have something like that, I would challenge you to think about it, and then back everything up in your life to that. Everything up.
I love that.
And if it's something that's really weird and stuff, then maybe you need to just check your life in general. But if anything, and then that will allow you to be able to bring in pivotal mentorship, to take classes, to maybe volunteer more, to find a different job, to find a better partner, whatever it is. But who are you? What do you want to be remembered for?
I love that.
Well, Jake, I think you make a good point. And sorry, Taylor, I know you want to wrap up, but I think it's important to not only specifically, or to not only set your goal to be able to kind of know what. Jake, I had a perfect thought and then I just forgot. But anyway, the point of it was I was going to base it based off of something you said. But the goal is to the reason we set specific goals and not to just eat better or read more is to also know when you accomplish that, right? Hey, I want to eat 6 salads a day, or not a day. Well, that'd be a lot. That'd be solid. It'd be
a lot of lettuce.
But if I want to eat 6, salads a week, or I want to get healthier, or I want to lose 10 pounds. Right. Well, what are the specific goal that you're going to be able to look back and say that I achieved it? Doesn't have to be an end goal either. It doesn't have to be hey, once I hit 10 pounds, I'm healthier. It's okay, well, what is it? What else do I want to look at? Is it blood sugar? Is it blood pressure? Is it consistency? There's things in life. There's goals that you can set for consistency. Hey, I want to continue to read 15 minutes a day. That's my goal. Hey, I have a new child. Taylor, you're a relatively new father here, right? So, hey, I was reading 30 minutes a day before I had the baby. I want to continue to read 30 minutes a day. And that is okay. That's okay to set goals that challenge us to stay, at status quo.
I love that. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, boys, again, thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning. Real quick before we wrap it up, Pedro, the difference between a dream and a goal is that a goal is a dream with an actual concrete steps. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
So good. I love that. I think that's a great way to finish it out. So again, thank you all for tuning in to Unicorn Finders. We appreciate it. We appreciate you. We got a lot more guests coming. So we're going to go live every Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. Central. And then our pods are going to be live, and we will announce them and make them events. So be on the lookout for that. Go like us, follow us on LinkedIn. We drive all of our communication through LinkedIn. We don't do Twitter. We don't do Instagram. We don't do Facebook. It's just LinkedIn. So go follow us. A lot more content coming your way that we're very excited about. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you again soon.
Hey, y'all.
Yep, go Gators.